nandito na tayo sa last part ng ating lesson for the third grading period, which is all about the stars and constellation. At ito po yung topic na medyo na related na rin sa concept pagdating sa astronomy, no? And then suddenly yung iba sa atin is talagang interested na pagdating sa sa pag-aaral ng mga stars and then constellation, kasi maganda talaga siyang tignan at the first place. Pero kung pag-aaralan natin ng mas malalim mga astronomy, I will shatter your expectations kasi may application din po siya ng physics. But at this moment, hindi tayo gagamit ng mga physics concepts, no, kasi medyo malalim yun at baka hindi nyo pa magets at your age, no. Dahil hindi ito kasama sa part ng topic natin or lesson for the for this kind of topic, no? At more on sa basics na tayo nakafocus, no? Then we must study all about the different kinds of stars and their respective constellations. Yun lamang po at hindi po tayo magpupunta sa matinding computation. So at this time, I just want to introduce you the word stars, no? So in stars, it is a ball of hot gases that emits light throughout the universe. The sun is the only star in the solar system, but there are more billions of stars in our galaxy. The color and brightness of the stars depend on its temperature. So, base sa kanilang temperature, nahati sila sa 7 types. Just like yung O, which is the hottest. The next, B, A, F, G, and K. And then yung M, ito po yung coolest, no? So, tandaan natin na ang Sun is a G type of star, no? Medyo nandun siya sa portion na nasa coolest, no? Coolest part ng ating star. Tandaan natin na ang Sun or yung ating araw ay isang example ng star, no? And then, mapunta tayo sa HR diagram. So, one of the most useful tool in determining the characteristics of stars is the Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. At ito ay na-develop ng dalawang astronomers na si Ejner Hertzsprung at saka si Henry Norris Russell. And then, in 1911, Hertzsprung, a Danish astronomer, plotted the absolute magnitude of stars against their temperature. On the other hand, noong 1913, si Russell naman, isang American astronomer, used spectral colors against the absolute magnitude. The resulting plots showed that the relationship between temperatures and luminosity of a star was not random, but instead appeared to fall into distinct groups such as white dwarfs, main sequence, giants, and supergiant star, no? So, nandito tayo sa ating HR diagram at according to its classification ng star, so ayan yung kanilang star type and then yung kanilang spectral class, no? As well as yung kanilang temperature. Mas mainit po yung sa O at mas cooler naman po yung star type na M, no? So ayan po. So, astronomers classify stars according to their physical structures, or not structure but characteristics such as the brightness, color, or spectral class, surface temperature, size, and masses. So, ayan po siya. So, in terms of brightness, luminosity and magnitude are the two characteristics that define the brightness of a star. Then, luminosity is the total energy that a star produces in 1 second. The radius of the star and its surface temperature determine its luminosity. The apparent magnitude of a star is its perceived brightness as seen on Earth. The closer the star to the Earth, the brighter it looks. The sun is the brightest object in the Earth's sky with a magnitude of negative 26.74 degrees. And then, wala palang degrees yun, I'm sorry. So, in terms of color, the color of a star depends on its surface temperature. The spectral class of a star is also its color. Cooler stars are red, while hotter stars have a bluer appearance. No, baliktad po, no, sa perception natin. So, stars in the mid-ranges are white or yellow color like the sun. So, stars can also blend colors like red-orange stars or blue-white stars. Basta po sa nakita natin kanina, no? So, in terms of temperature, astronomer measures a star's temperature using Kelvin scale, no? 0 degrees sa Kelvin scale is absolute zero, and then it is equal to negative 273.15 degrees Celsius. The coolest or reddest star, which are the red giants, are approximately to 2,500 Kelvin, while the hottest star, which is the blue giants, can reach 50,000 Kelvin. Note that the sun is about 5,500 Kelvin only. So in terms of size, astronomers measure the size of a star in terms of the sun's radius, which means that if a star measures 1 solar radii, it would be as big as the sun. The star Rigel that measures 78 solar radii is much larger than the sun. Rigel is one of the supergiant stars. And And then according to its mass, the mass of a star is also measured in terms of the sun. For example, Rigel with a mass of 3.5 solar masses is much larger than the sun. However, two stars of a similar size may not necessarily have the same mass because stars vary in density. Ito po yun, no? Kaya sinabi ko po kanina, I will shatter your expectations na may yung astronomy, may kumbaga magkasangga dito yung field ng modern physics, no? According to the density of this kind of celestial bodies, no? Identify natin yung kanilang density, no? Pero yung density, actually, hindi ko na masyadong i-spoil sa inyo kasi medyo lalayo tayo sa lesson. May computation po din talaga dito. Kailangan natin i-determine yung solar mass, yung mismong respective volume niya, tsaka yung density. So, meron tayong distinct grouping of stars na makikita natin siya dito sa susunod na slide. So, unahin natin ang white dwarf. Yung white dwarf, no, so they are very dense star. Their mass is comparable to that of the sun and their volume is comparable to that of the earth. Their faint luminosity comes from the emission of stored thermal energy. And then yung main sequence star, they are made from the fusion of hydrogen atoms to form helium atoms in their cores. About 90% of the stars in the universe, including the sun, are the examples of this group of stars. So, in terms of giant star, they are former dwarf stars that have cooled and expanded into a great size. In 5 million years from now, this will be the fate of the sun. No? So, in terms of supergiant stars, so they start their life as main sequence dwarfs. So, they are much brighter, hotter, and massive than the sun, which can be hundreds of times bigger. It has a hectic but very short life. At makikita natin siya dito sa mismong life cycle ng star. So, it begins from a huge cloud of gas and dust called a stellar nebula, or sabihin natin na ito ay nebula. No? The force of the gas with the nebula causes explosion, which makes the clouds of gas and dust hot. As this process continues, the cloud breaks up into smaller clumps resulting to the formation of a star. So, next po, as a star develops, they accumulate mass from the clouds around them and grow into main sequence stars. Like the sun, they exist in a state of nuclear fusion, during which they will emit energy by fusing hydrogen to form helium for billions. Now, I'm sorry about this typo. Billions of years. Star evolves over billions of years and become bigger. The greater the mass of the star, the shorter is its lifespan. Yun po yung nakita natin dito, yung kanilang inverse relationship. No? So next po, a star moves towards the end of their lives. Much of their hydrogen has been converted into helium. Helium sinks to its core and raises its temperature, causing its outer shell to expand. These large swelling stars are known as the red giants. Then next po, some stars come to an end when their hydrogen fuel is used up. When this happens, they swell up into supergiants. When all the gas fuel is used, these supergiants shrink into a white dwarf again. White dwarfs cool for billions of years until they eventually go dark and will not be able to produce energy. So, however, some stars come to an end by collapsing into pieces in an explosion called a supernova, which is the largest explosion that takes place in the universe. This violent explosion may leave a small core that will become a neutron star or a black hole, no? Na nakikita natin dito sa part na yan. So, nandito na tayo sa part ng constellations. So, when you look at the sky, what do you see? Do you see images of animals, objects, or people? So, let's find out. So, in terms of constellations, observers in ancient times also imagined group of stars that form pictures of animals, objects, and people. So this imaginary group of stars ay tinatawag na constellations. Many constellations have names that can be traced back early Babylonians and Greek civilizations, but nearly all cultures have different names for the constellations. Just like, for example, Greeks called the large constellation Orion, which means hunter and is prominent in the night sky all over the world during winter. Early Filipinos visualized the same group of stars as balik, a trap used in hunting wild pigs. So Christian Filipinos named the three stars na yun nga sa Orion's belt na Tatlong Maria or Tres Marias. So, and po yung Orion, the hunter. And then yung Lyra. And then ito yung mga zodiac constellation horoscopes. And then sa constellation, meron tayong mga largest constellation just like Hydra or the Serpent, Virgo or the Virgin, Ursa Major, the Great Bear, Cetus or the Sea Monster, Hercules, which is the Strong Man. Meron tayong mga smallest constellations just like Crux or the Southern Cross, Equilus, which is the Little Horse, Sagittarius, which means the Archer, Circinus, which is the drawing compass, and Delphinus is the Dolphin. So, yun po sila, no? So, in terms of apparent movement sa star through the night, by observing the sun's movement and position in the sky, we can tell what time of the day it is. When it seems to rise in the east, it is morning. So, when it is above us, it is noon. When it seems to move towards the west, it is afternoon. And at night, the stars are used to tell the time. Just like the sun, the stars also seem to move from east to west. So in terms of Polaris, it is commonly known as the North Star, who is the brightest star in the constellation of Ursa Minor, which is the Little Dipper. It is very close to the North Celestial Pole, making it the current northern pole star. Because it lies nearly in a direct line with the axis of Earth's rotation above the North Pole, Polaris stands almost motionless in the sky, and all the stars of the northern sky appears to rotate it. In terms of star trail, it is a type of photograph that utilizes long exposure times to capture the apparent motion of stars in the night sky due to the rotation of the Earth. So sobrang gara lang tignan. And then in Metro Manila, when you face North Polaris, which is 11.3 degrees from the horizon, is seen at around 15 degrees due to atmospheric refraction. In some parts of the country, specifically sa southern Philippines, it would be difficult to locate Polaris since starlights near the horizon are washed out by lights lit by men or obstructed by man-made or topographical structures or trees. So paano natin makikita ang Polaris? No? So to locate the Polaris, face north and locate the Big Dipper, the two stars which are the Merak and Dubi or Dub. No, correct me if I am wrong sa mga pronunciation na nababanggit ko. In the Bigger Dipper called pointer stars because they seem to point to Polaris. And then in terms of star appear to move in the night sky, the rotation of the Earth on its axis causes the apparent nightly movement of the stars across the sky. The revolution is responsible for the fact that we can see different parts of the sky at different parts of the year. So an observer from the Earth will be able to see the stars that are on the night side. The stars on the same side as the sun cannot be seen because sunlight overpowers all the starlights. No, obvious naman po yun. And then, in terms of stars appear to move in the night sky, according to its historical background, the ancient Greeks first started to ask questions about the universe and how it worked. Their work was the basis of the studies of great European astronomers from the 15th century onwards. So astronomy is the study of the planets, stars, moons, other space bodies, the space itself, and the whole of the universe. It is partly a practical science which involves observing and cataloging. No? In terms of cosmology, ito yung branch ng astronomy which deals with the origin and evolution of the universe as a whole and how its parts work. So, according to its historical background, the sun was worshipped as god by many ancient civilizations 7,000 years ago. The first phase of construction of Stonehenge, a sun-aligned Stone Age temple in England, was built 4,100 years ago. No? About 4,000 years ago, the sun was worshipped as the god Ra in ancient Egypt, and in 1300s, the Aztec people made sacrifices to their sun god, Huitzilopochtli. No? Correct me if I'm wrong sa pagkakapronounce ko. So, constellations are product of human perceptions. These patterns have appeared in the sky every year at the same time for thousands of years. Through these figures, people create stories, practices, and beliefs, no, that affect their lives. So, nandito tayo sa common beliefs and practices associated dito sa stars and then sa astrology, no? At medyo malapit na rin tayo matapos, no? So, some people believe that it is rude to point directly at stars, no? Kumbaga masama daw naman magtuturo, no? So, some culture believe that the shooting stars actually souls that begins their ascent to heaven, no? And then minsan nai-relate to sa mga natin na sa mga kabilang buhay natin mga kamag-anak, no? Na yun nga. And then yun nga na part na yun yung mismong kaluluwa nila. And then there is a belief that shooting stars are magical things that bring good luck, no? And then next po, in some parts of the world, stars are used to predict the weather. And then seafarers use the stars, specifically the North Star, as a navigating tool that allowed them to calculate latitude and know the correct course to reach their destination. Kumbaga, ito yung right path na kanilang patutunguhan, no? And then superstition says that you can predict the weather simply by observing how are the stars positioned in relation to rings around the moon. Maybe a bit totoo, pero wala pa tayo gaanong mga scientific basis pagdating dito, at lahat po ng mga common beliefs and practices na nabanggit ko is hindi po siya literally totoo. no? Kasi wala siyang scientific basis. So, ayun lamang po, no? Yun, dun naman po nagtatapos yung ating lesson. So, kung meron kayong mga clarifications, questions, and concerns, leave a comment below. And then, that's all for today. Kita-kits sa fourth grading ninyo. Yung fourth grading natin is yung physics, no? So, again, that's all for today. Goodbye.